This might be the shortest gap we've had in between live videos because we're actually back after 2 weeks. But it's so happy to see that Uday Bhatia has made an effort in his appearance today to be on this live video. Comments on Uday's appearance, Rahul.
Oh, I'm glad we look different for a change. That's. I'd like to see people still compare us after today.
Last time somebody said Uday Bhatia looks like Rahul Desai with EMI payments.
That was unnecessary but
Disrespect.
very funny.
Hi, welcome back to the channel, my friends. Ishita, Uday, Rahul. How's everybody doing this fine Monday night?
You're doing well. It's been a good
Not
week.
bad.
Good films.
Surprisingly good films that we are going to get into now. One of them is very surprising. But can you guys hear me properly? Arya was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not delayed or anything. Huh? You guys can hear properly.
हाँ, I can.
Yeah,
कभी
yeah.
कभी glitch आ रहा है, but I don't know. Maybe that's my
yeah.
thing.
Halka halka glitch is coming in the audio, then I will change my audio patterns. But uske pehle, everybody who's watching us live right now, thank you so much for joining. What you can do is go to the description under this video. I have links to all the reviews that we're going to be talking about. If you want more context, everybody's reviews are already in the description. Ishita's reviews on OTT Play, Rahul's reviews on The Hollywood Reporter, and Uday Bhatia's reviews on Live Mint. And you can also follow all these wonderful, distinguished film critics on their specific Twitter profiles. I've only linked your Twitter profiles because I feel like that's where all of you are most active with sharing your things, right? You guys are not very active anywhere else, no? Just Twitter mostly. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, it's
Okay,
glitching a
great.
little.
Okay, Rahul, let's start with you. What all have you watched this week and what do you want to start with? Shall we start with what do you want to start with, Rahul? You pick.
What I have to start discussing a film already.
नहीं बता ना कौन सी फिल्म से शुरू करना है चल ये बता
We will start with the best, which is Son of Sardaar
Rahul, don't do
2.
what I think.
And I'd like Ishita and Sucharita to take the lead on this one, please.
Ishita has dropped out. Ishita has like straight up left.
She's worried that the houseful repeat will happen now.
Nahi. So, okay. So here we go. So Uday has not seen Son of Sardaar 2. And Uday messaged me saying, when I was asking कि if you're free to do this, he said कि मैंने Son of Sardaar नहीं देखी है. तो I said कोई बात नहीं है, कोई टेंशन नहीं है. Son of Sardaar नहीं देखी तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But I really now want Uday to watch Son of Sardaar too because it's like, have I lost my mind? Then I read Rahul's review after I published mine and I was like, okay, so I have not lost my mind. Son of Sardaar 2 has some decent things that one can actually talk about. And it is funny. It's a funny film. Ishita, please, Rahul is refusing to talk. Yeah, please say something about Son of Sardaar.
Rubbish he's doing. He was laughing also. I don't know if he was laughing in distress or he was laughing because it was funny, but he was sitting next to me and laughing, is all I will say. I feel like I've lost objectivity when it comes to these films. So I had a lot of fun.
Why do
Is
you
all
think
I
you've
will
lost
say.
objectivity? Because you feel like Sayara
Yeah.
के बाद बहुत ही
No,
मतलब
no,
गाली पड़
I
गई तुझे.
नहीं उसके लिए नहीं I feel like films have been I feel like Hindi films have been unfunny for so long that if I get a little bit of humor I start like overcompensating as an audience. I really
Okay.
want to have fun. So that
So
is it.
here is a list of things for people who have not seen Son of Sardaar 2. First of all, read all our reviews. But if you've not seen Son of Sardaar 2, here's a list of things that the film is very interestingly progressive about. All right, number one, nationalism. There are two warring sides in this film. One family is hyper nationalist, Hindustan Zindabad, and the other families are a bunch of artists and musicians from Pakistan who are like super duper chill. They don't really care if the other side is hyper nationalist. They're like, yeah, whatever, do your thing. But for us, we'll just do like whatever makes us happy and whatever helps us put one foot in front of the other. And the hyper nationalist family are the quote unquote bad guys, which I was just like, okay, the film is going there. Rahul?
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I think me, like most of us, were a little surprised with how, I don't know if it was unintentionally progressive or just like having fun with very old school gags, because I'm guessing comedies back in the we wouldn't have reacted this way of comedies if we are watching comedies back in the 90s or even Priyadarshan comedies in the early 2000s. So even like it's just because of where we are today that I think we are a little surprised by how out there this one is. In terms of, I was very surprised by like how the whole India Pakistan thing, they basically crack jokes at both sides, which is a nice which is a nice thing, and they make fun of hyper nationalism across both sides. And I was very pleasantly surprised uh, with first of all Deepak Dobriyal, and Ishita is going to now mention that he plays a trans character here, a trans woman,
Cool.
and he's one. She's one of the Pakistanis of the band,
Yeah.
and I did not know till 30 minutes into the film that it was Deepak Dobriyal, and Ishita suddenly like, she mentioned something about Deepak Dobriyal. I was like, where is he? And then she was like, who do you think that person in drag on the screen? And I did not. It did not occur to
And
me. I
then
just kept waiting for him to appear.
Now I want to see this.
also, can I just say that after Rahul realized it's Deepak Dobriyal, he was like in shock, and the scene is Deepak Dobriyal is leaving the screen, and Rahul was like, wait, wait, wait. It felt like he is watching someone leave. He couldn't believe, he was in disbelief. But he's so good.
I
He's
yeah,
so
he's
good.
Deepak is good in everything he does. And this reminds me of a really silly anecdote, but I will share it. There was once in a different lifetime when I used to work in radio, I had gone to interview Salman Khan for some Prem Ratan Dhan bio type films, like even actually not even Prem Ratan, even before that at some point. And or was it Prem Ratan? I don't know. He had done a film with Deepak Dobriyal, where Deepak was in a supporting role, and he was talking to me about Deepak Dobriyal. Salman Khan was, and he said कि यार मैं दीपक को बोलता हूँ तुम क्या ऐसे रोल करते हो जिसमें कोई तुम्हें पहचान ही नहीं पाता है कि कौन रोल कर रहा है, कि ऐसा रोल करो कि दिखे सामने वाले को कि दीपक डोबरियाल आया है स्क्रीन पे रोल करने के लिए. But then I was like, but that's a good thing, Salman Khan, that Deepak Dobriyal sort of vanishes in the roles that he plays. And cut to Rahul watching Son of Sardaar 2 and not realizing. But I also think that obviously goes without saying that this trans character should be played by a trans actor, because the opportunities for trans female actors to get these roles are very few and far between. And when these opportunities do arrive, Rahul has exited the conversation. When these opportunities do arrive, they should be given to people who have a lived experience with that. But regardless of that, he looks fabulous. He's dressed really well. He's not like they've actually styled him, and I really appreciated that. राहुल, तुम्हारा कैमरा नहीं चल रहा है या क्या हो रहा है? तुम दिख नहीं रहे हो मुझे. और इशिता भी फ्रीज हो गई है. आई थिंक इन दोनों के घर पे कुछ इंटरनेट का इश्यू चल रहा है.
Amazing.
Anyway, until then, I will. Rahul's back. Ishita's
I was
stuck.
back.
What else? All right, tell me another progressive thing that you found in Son of Sardaar 2, Rahul, that you were surprised by.
Sorry, I just was zoning in and out of the. I think my internet connection is a little unstable. I did not hear anyone
Ishita
speak
has-
for the last 2 minutes.
Ishita is frozen in such a photogenic manner too. I mean, look at her. कितनी cute लग रही है.
Yeah, to be. Yeah.
Very
Is my
nice.
connection? Can you hear me properly now?
Yeah, can hear you and can see you.
Okay. Yeah, I actually liked how Deepak Dobriyal and Ravi Kishan both played their roles very straight, right? I mean, for them, they weren't in a comedy almost, and you almost expected a lot of trans jokes to be made, a lot of like women in drag jokes to be made, like a lot of old comedies did. But most normalized character I've ever seen in a Hindi film, like in terms of a trans woman on screen, and in a comedy like this. Not one joke does Dobriyal cracks. Nobody, I mean, couple of people get a little confused about his appearance, but that's about it. and Ravi Kishan playing like this very hyper nationalist sort of NRI. I like that he could have been in Lapata Ladies for all you know. Like it's one of those serious gravity kind of roles, and I think there was some sense of like what they were doing there, but I'm just not convinced all of it was intentional. Like
That's the
that's the thing.
thing, I had even asked Dibakar Banerjee when he made LSD 2. You all have seen LSD 2, no? All of you. So when I asked him this, I did an interview later, and I was like, was everybody on the film in on what you were saying about the film? And he's like, I don't think so. I don't think like the lyricists and the musicians and everyone knew what we were doing with it. So similarly here, I don't, it's so confusing because the ideas are progressive, but I don't think that Ravi Kishan understands the progressive ideas that he is projecting with this character, or Ajay Devgan understands the parodying of the, so there's a whole scene where Ajay Devgan is pretending to be a military man, right? And सामने वाले is saying कि कोई कहानी सुनाओ अपनी posting की कहानी सुनाओ. So he narrates scene by scene breakdown of Border, Sunny Deol ke dialogue and Sunil Shetty ke dialogue, and it's really funny because they've superimposed his face onto their bodies, and it's a very funny scene. I'm like, do they realize the commentary they're doing here with like sort of making fun of the hypernaturalism? I don't think so. I don't think that all of them themselves are in on the joke, which makes it so weird. And about the trans character, every time somebody is confused about their gender, right, or their sexual preference, like, are you into men, are you into women, Gul is just like, whatever, why do you care, and they move on. That is not the butt of the joke. The scene doesn't end at making fun of this character. The scene's like, okay, fine, whatever, and then they go make fun of someone else, which I thought was very refreshing. Akshita Gupta agrees with us. She says, I'm relieved that Sana Sada wasn't a total. I need to go bury my head in sand because my brain cells are on fire. Hope is alive, I guess. I won't go as far as to say.
I mean, I'll still maintain I was laughing because Ishita was sitting next to me, and when she laughs, it is, I don't know how to say this without sounding complimentary, but it's very infectious. So I just I'm like, is it happening? What is happening? And in Houseful, the same thing. I was glad that we weren't watching that film together because I'm sure I would have laughed a lot more if we were together watching the film together. So, so yeah, I guess I was laughing at the film. Whatever reason, I'll take it. It's fine.
Rahul, but 1 second. Weren't you laughing very loudly when Sanjay Mishra held that cobra and said, "Get well soon"? It was very funny, and Rahul was dying. I saw it. It's just like putting it on me fully.
Oh my god,
And
listen,
Sanjay Mishra is crazy.
I lost
Uday,
it
you
when
missed
Ravi...
out on that gag. Uday, you should watch that gag. It's a very remarkably intellectual gag where Sanjay Mishra does the most Sanjay Mishra thing in the world. He's just like hiding out in the forest. He's like being this super secretive person with his gang, and he's just like walking across. He just on his like in one swift gesture on his way on camera, he sees a cobra. He just picks it up, talks to it, saying, "Get well soon, bye," and continues. And I'm like, and can you imagine Sanjay Mishra doing this? Like, he just does this shit all the time. It's just that we haven't seen a cobra in his hands yet.
Who's directed this? Like, maybe they've have they like done something useful? Who's
So the
cinematographer
director
of
is a
Vastav?
the director is a Punjabi filmmaker, Vijay Kumar Arora, who has not made a Hindi feature before. So the sensibility is a very, those typical Punjabi comedies, that is the sensibility. And also, thanks to that, I was also noticing the accents are very, very proper. There's a Punjabi accent from the Indian Punjabis, and there's a Punjabi accent of the Pakistani Punjabis. And they've actually worked hard to get the accents right. And there's even dialogue about how... And oh my god, I was like, so they're actually talking about how cultures are similar in both the nations, because at some point you can't really tell whether these are Indians or Pakistanis because they're playing the same kind of music, same kind of clothes. So there's commentary on that cross-border culture to hamara same hi hai. And then there's comment on how the Punjabi accent is different on both the sides. I was just very surprised to see these conversations coming in. Vijay Raz was actually playing the Sanjay Mishra role, and then Vijay Raz had to be ousted because of some whatever reasons, and then Sanjay Mishra came on, and that's why he's doing the most Sanjay Mishra things, because he's just like brought on to be
Vijay
Sanjay
also
Mishra.
would have been so funny.
Yeah, but there were some issues with them. I lost it when, oh my god, when he says, when the mother dies doing the pole dance.
This all sounds really strange now that we are saying it aloud.
And then at the funeral, Ajay Devgan says, ये डंडे पर चमगादड़ की तरह गिद्दा करती थी. And I was like, what are these lines?
It's
And Ravi
objectively
Kishan
funny.
says, so it's not a good film. They have gags that they.
No.
So one character trait of the Ravi Kishan character is that he doesn't know how to speak English, so he messes up the words as he goes along, which they completely abandon after the first 3 or 4 times they have this joke. The rest of the film, this thing just doesn't appear anywhere. So it's not a very good film. But when he says fingertips instead of fingertips, I lost it. I just died. It's like मेरे fingertips घिस गए.
I, I totally forgot that. Anyway.
But also, it was very sobering to see Mukul there. Like it just felt
Yes.
like, yeah, it was very sad in a way.
It was sad. This is not his last role. I know he's done at least one more film that's going to come out.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was sad. Um, is there anything else you guys, do we still need to talk about Sonu Sadar more, or shall we move on to the film that
No,
we're
no.
actually here to talk
No,
about?
no.
Yes.
I think we are now in danger of making it sound like a very good film worth watching. I think we should stop.
Now, Uday, we've done too much talking now. It's time for you to shine. Let's talk about Dhadak 2. Let's go. To get you started, let me actually project your review, which I have ready, and we can do what we did last time. We'll enter your review. ठीक है ना? तो ये रहा. कहाँ गया? ये हटाएंगे, ये ऐड करेंगे. शाबाश. Flush with pride from having joined law school, Nilesh Siddhant Chaturvedi, the first in his Dalit family to attend college, brings home a problem from class. He opens it up for neighborhood discussion. A group of stranded people eat each other in a desperate bid for survival. What would the law say? The residents of Bhimnagar are aghast. But one man examines it differently. We'd be fine, he says. They wouldn't eat us. A woman chimes in. They definitely won't eat Adivasis. This scene is not in Periyaram Perumal.
No.
Shazia and her co-writer have added this scene in. Why did you choose to enter this film, your review through this?
I think that was a small reason that it's not there in Pariyaram. It was, and I thought it also showed a bit of confidence in the sense that, it's a serious film, it's a serious issue, but to, to think of it as the character would think of it, and people, who have faced that kind of oppression all their lives, to turn it into black humor would be a very natural way of trying to kind of live with conditions like that, and it seemed something that was very that could really happen. So I don't know, it jumped out at me. It's a very very small throwaway joke, but I liked it. It gave me this feeling that this film is operating with some confidence, and it's not going to be like Dhadak was almost scared of Sairat. You could see the pressure, and it was just not going to match up. This one, I thought, it showed like a bit of confidence that, we are also making our own film.
Yeah. Let's now read the first few lines of Ishita's review. Ishita का review कहाँ है? OTT play, share, right here and add to stage. Perfect. So Ishita opens it saying, Dhadak 2 borrows its beats from Periyaram Perumal but vibrates with its own music. It is a tender task situated between adapting and creating, performing and inhibiting, miming and mining. Now, this is not the start of a review. This is. Dhadak 2 stands on dented shoulders. How beautifully you write, yeah. Like its spiritual predecessor, Dhadak, adapted from Nagaraj Manjule's Sairat, it too borrows the contours from another language film, Mari Selvaraj's Periyaram Perumal. This baffling practice of sharing Genesis with acclaimed sources renders the franchise open to closer scrutiny and resistant to unbiased engagement. Observations are accompanied by comparisons, and every question heads in a similar direction. Did it improve on the primary material? You and Rahul are sort of similar on your initial ruminations on how to enter this review. Tell me more.
So I think like what I mentioned, I feel like when I was watching Dhadak 2, for most of us, I think the primary query was that will it be able to do what the original film did, which even if it had done um like a faithful adaptation, uh even that would be like a stretch for Hindi films as such. Is it glitching? Is the network glitching? Or
No,
can
I
you
can
hear
see you,
me?
hear you. You're good.
Okay. So I think that, and also I was very apprehensive of this film being called Dhadak 2 because the franchise itself is like a very love story franchise. So it doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Which kind of like later I made my peace with it. I mean, I didn't see this as a love story. I didn't see Dhadak 2 as a love story. I saw it as a story which was informed by love. Probably the last scene of the film where they are both in the bus, that would be the start of a love story, but the story we saw was not. So I think but initially I was very apprehensive. So I think that is why I started like that.
That last scene when it comes, I almost thought that she's going to do a Celine song materialist moment where the edits are going to roll and they're just going to be in the bus as the credits are rolling and it'll just go on and on and on and on. And I was like, damn, missed that. But you and Uday agree on this. Uday also does not like that the film is titled Dhadak 2. Discuss. Uday, why?
I really hate that it's called Dhadak 2. Like I didn't make any peace with it at all. I think it's a ridiculous decision. Because it's calling attention to Dhadak, which I think we can all agree was just like a very, it was quite a failure. I mean, on most levels, and yeah, and it's just weird that you'd kind of take like cast as an issue and then try and make it into a franchise. Like I don't understand the thinking behind that. It's just unbelievably stupid. Like I cannot. I would like to see someone from Dharma, and I'm sure it's a Dharma decision, because why would Shazia want to call her film Dhadak 2?
Mm.
uh, I'd like to see their logic behind it, like to actually explain it.
Rahul, thoughts on the title?
Yeah, ironically, it's a very upper caste decision. You can tell it's been taken by people who tell stories um, from a certain vantage point. And most production houses are like that. I wouldn't just single out Dharma. But yeah, you can tell it's a very producer's decision. And as Uday said, it sort of points out to a terrible film that was Dhadak. I mean, ideally, you should not be making a franchise out of any social issues in this country. But given that Hindi cinema has normalized it over the years, thanks to Akshay Kumar and a bunch of others, um, I'd still say that this film kind of should have existed in isolation. Especially, it could not have. I mean, Shazia has a distinct voice, obviously, and I don't see how they can continue this franchise and keep sort of remaking acclaimed Indian films, because that beats the purpose of being sincere about what you're making.
I don't know if I'm glitching or if you're glitching or if no one's glitching and I just feel like we're glitching. Are we all stuck or is it working?
Oh,
It's working on my end for now.
Is
Working on
this
my
thing
end.
yeah,
working?
same here. Hmm.
Okay, maybe then I don't know, it's glitching on my end. But yes, no, I don't know, I have a feeling that maybe it was just a placeholder title that just sort of became this thing because everybody started calling it Dhadak 2. But the fact that it was a placeholder title also is problematic. Like, again, why are you trying to um, this? But also, if you were to interpret it, maybe it is, like I said this in my review as well, an attempt to relook at redoing it, like doing it again. I don't know. and trying to do it right this time around. Um, let us go to Rahul's review. You guys can hear and see me properly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Your
think I
image
can hear
is
you. Your
bit,
image is
but
glitchy.
it's fine.
Okay, because I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to share Rahul's review and let's read this piece a little. Oh, nope, wrong one.
Of course,
गलत वाला
Ishita.
खोल दिया मैंने. 1 second. Okay, can we
Wait,
hear?
just
Can you see this
before
now?
1 second, just before we go into this, someone's raised a very important point in the comments. Not important, but like a worthy thought because I think JK or something. I feel like the only way they could have greenlit this film in this climate is to Trojan the politics under the shell of a franchise, which is true also.
Maybe.
Yeah. Vatsal is saying that my camera keeps freezing, but my audio is good. Okay, if my camera freezes, then just, as long as you guys can hear me and hear everybody else, that's really fine.
Yes, it's-
Or duck duck fall, like
Duck, duck.
that's nice.
Okay. Okay, let's see now. We're gonna read Rahul's opening remarks. The inherent burden of watching a Hindi remake is that the original film automatically acquires a position of control and, in most cases, invincibility. The source material becomes a point of comparison and judgment, a biblical blueprint that, if not followed, reduces the subjectivity of art to the semantics of love or religion. The adaptation can either stray or be faithful. Its identity can only be determined by its devotion or a lack of it to the original. It's a lose-lose of sorts. For instance, Dhadak not only strayed from Marathi classic Sairat, it was entirely divorced from reality. It invisibilized the central theme and missed the memo. Even in isolation, it was a generic and gutless poor boy rich girl tale. Yes, Rahul, batao.
Yeah, for reasons similar to Ishita. I mean, it was for me because like the thing is more often than not, if I haven't watched the original, there's a way to approach a review. I think, and when you have watched it, you can't undo that gaze. And I struggle with it a lot. Like over the years, I'm like, how much do how can you look at the Hindi film in isolation if you have a point of comparison? It's a point of conflict, I think, for all critics, and especially if it's an acclaimed film and is being loyal to it a good thing or a bad thing? Is having your own voice or also, daring to stay a little a good or bad thing? So I was trying to basically make sense of my own thoughts, I think. That's how I guess the first paragraph was born because I I don't think I was in I don't think I knew where I was heading till I wrote that first paragraph.
Same, because I had seen Periyaram Perumal many, many years ago. So, despite knowing the story, I had largely forgotten visuals and things like that for long for the most part. And I rewatched the film because I felt like I should before I watched Dhadak 2, and it is. I mean, if you're going to adapt a film like Periyaram Perumal, which is such an important film in conversations around caste and how it's represented in popular culture and mainstream cinema, then it's going to be, you cannot run away from the comparison in any way. And I don't think Shazia Iqbal wants to run away from any comparisons. But it's also not possible to not be compared. Like, for instance, I had the same issue, and I know Uday and I had discussed this as well. I had the same issue with Mrs. If you're going to make a film that is adapted from such an important film, The Great Indian Kitchen had such a wonderful conversation around it when the film came out. If you're going to make a film and not add anything to it, in fact, take away from it, which is what happened with Mrs., then we're going to point it out. But I think with Dhadak 2, she adds the female gaze, the female perspective, and changes the lead character quite a bit, quite significantly, which for me was the redeeming factor of the film too. And also to have her own voice be reflected in the film, because if anybody has seen the short film Shazia Iqbal made Bebak, you can tell that this is very much her voice, the way she's created these characters and crafted the female characters specifically. Right? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't
I
see me?
no now can see you okay also. I I would agree, but I would say that even I kind of rewatched Pariyaram Perumal after writing the review. I hadn't seen it that long back, so I remembered it fairly fresh even before. But I just wanted to, check some details whether they were there in that, and uh, a lot of the ideas are from Pariyaram Perumal, which is fine. I mean, it is an official remake. It's not like it's not being shown. It's like clearly saying based on that. But a lot of like if you're giving credit to not only like large story ideas, but even small things like the character of the father, who's who's dancing in drag. Then he comes to the thing, then to the school, and he's humiliated there. All those beats are there. The first meeting between the assassin and Nilesh, there's is almost the same thing. They changed the detail. Like in that, he's sitting on the same seat as him on the bus in Pariyaram Perumal, and when he realizes that he's of a different caste, he gets up and kind of walks away. Out here, it's done through a cup of tea. So different things. So there is efforts to kind of sort of make it different, but a lot of the ideas are from Pariyaram Perumal. So I would suggest that people, who have liked Dhadak 2 should go and check that out, because I mean it's they are their own films, but yeah, I mean it owes a lot to Mari Selvaraj's film for sure.
Yeah, and y'all also pointed this out that the what made Periyaram Perumal also come alive a little bit was missing in Thalaktu was the music, because the characters and their background and their cultural, how these characters interact with the world, especially Periyaram's character, is informed from like where he comes from, and because he comes from such a rich cultural background, the film Mari Selvaraj's film really goes out of its way to establish that. Even in the first sequence after the dog dies, the whole funeral scene with the singing and the wailing and the crying and the celebration of it, and every time he goes back to his village to meet his family, there's a, and the fact that they have hunting dogs, and I know Uday likes to talk about dogs in films also, but the fact that they have hunting dogs and there's a whole dispute about which land the dogs are allowed to hunt on, that really informs creating the character of Periyaram Perumal, which was missing in Dhadak 2, the music aspect of it. But then also, I think changing the setting from rural to urban also added a whole other dimension and a whole other layer to the film, which made it feel a lot more, close, like you can touch it, for people who live in big cities and think that this doesn't happen in big cities, as a dialogue also mentions in the film. And in a very like sort of parasite fashion, the rich person just lives on higher ground, and the person who doesn't comes from that sort of financial means lives on lower ground. And I thought that was very smartly done also to establish that urban setting. Rahul, your thoughts on moving the film from the rural to an urban setting?
Rahul,
Yeah, I
also, if
mean,
I can put in another
huh,
question to add to that, since you'd mentioned the dog thing, and also the Pariyaram Perumal starts with that scene, which
yeah.
comes later in this film, and it's a flashback here, but Pariyaram Perumal starts with that scene, and it opens like, like that. And I was wondering how you guys thought about its placement in this versus in that. I thought that was an interesting choice on Shazia's part to kind of use that later.
Yeah, I mean,
Say,
it was
Rahul.
interesting because it sort of, given that it was a flashback here, and I think as Sucharita mentioned also, like that film was very rooted in a very different sense, like rurally, and how his shift from that village and from that particular tragedy to the city was established very early on, or to the town was established very early on. I think here, I mean, I don't know if I got totally on board with the fact that the dog suddenly appeared later. Like our investment in the fact that he's gone through something in the past can only be
Hmm.
established if we see it explicitly affect his life and uproot his life, which is what the original did very
Right.
smartly. It even dedicated a whole song, a haunting song to the dog, right?
Yeah.
Before the dog died. And that is how you establish a couple, so to say. So I mean, that was the love story in a sense. It wasn't what happened when he came to the college. So I don't think that I think because this was a sort of mainstream Hindi film where there was a female character, Tripti Dimri, and there was a romantic track or almost a romantic track. I think they took the decision to sort of almost put the dog as more of a memory and as more of something she doesn't know about him, so that it doesn't distract from what he's going through at the college. So, I mean, it didn't like it. I did wince a little when they started with the killer straight away, which we will come to our favorite maestro. But yeah, the dog thing over time, I don't think it got the necessary sort of. I don't know. I didn't feel like it. He had the necessary psychological bandwidth to deal with it. But I really liked how the dog came back with the student leader later on
That was a
in the
great scene.
film. That was a
Yeah.
great, phenomenal addition. First of all,
Yeah.
to the film to have the student leader, and that's what when you're going to make a film more mainstream or in the Hindi belt, this is how you do it. And secondly, to bring the dog back in that scene, I did not see that coming. And the breaking of the fourth wall, I froze. Like
Very
it was
smart. Yeah, that was
amazing.
really, really good. That was great.
Yeah. Is Can everyone hear? See, I don't know.
You guys keep
Yeah.
talking. I'm trying to
Okay.
connect
Cool.
back in.
So the
I hear you.
other, probably the biggest addition
Can you
of
guys hear me
this
now?
film over the Tamil one was the student leader. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was like the big plot, that subplot that was not there in that.
Yeah.
Again, like just like how did it work for you guys?
I thought that was the best decision. I thought that gave the film, for me, what happened when the student leader came and whatever happened to him through the film, and
Hmm.
when the entire sort of that entire subplot sort of reaches that kind of inflection point of sort, it reminded, I think, a lot of us watching the film that it's bigger than um, that. It felt like the camera was zooming out and showed us that it was bigger. Whatever is happening is bigger than one almost romantic track or one Dalit character protagonist and his love story or whatever it is. It felt like uh, non-fiction was suddenly puncturing what we were watching and saying this is not just an isolated sort of story. What you are seeing is something that's happening as we speak in the news and in all the figures we've been seeing over the years. So I felt like that, and it was great casting also. Very soulful actor, very soulful eyes, and it worked wonders for me. And that's how you do an adaptation if you're going to adapt it to a different kind of or a more accessible culture, because it just I was sold in terms of how it changed Siddhant's character also, uh, because it wasn't enough that he was going through personal heartbreak. With Tripti's character, he needed to see that to completely realize that this is so much bigger than what he's going through. It didn't paint him as a victim anymore. It painted him as more of a survivor who's going to take. And it also shines a light on a very important thing, that a lot of social causes, or what we think is activism, what we think is rebellion, is always born from a more selfish from a more selfish experience. It cannot always right from the beginning be that someone is born generous or someone is born wanting to help the whole world. They have to go through hell themselves in order to even understand that they are probably meant to carry the burden of a greater crisis. And I think the student leader did that wonderfully.
Yeah. Ishita?
Yeah, same. I feel like that was one of the better things in this Dhadak too, to give that edu. I mean, I felt like in the original film, the Sardaar's film, I felt like the setting was ironic in a sense. I think probably that was the point. It is an education institution, and the caste atrocity was going on and everyone could see it and no one was really saying anything. And here I felt the place was given a lot of agency,
Yeah.
because of the geographical location it was placed in, even though it never mentioned it, it is probably Bhopal. I mean, that's how I think we all agree on it.
Yeah, the license plates on the car says Madhya
Yeah, it's
Pradesh.
all
Anytime
written.
they
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
mention, na, that's what I look for.
Same, same. So I feel the whole geographical movement of the story made a lot of sense in this context. Like, when you are moving towards the heartland in a way, that these issues and what Rahul said, I totally agree that when I was watching it, I felt like the presence of a student leader, it kind of, and his reality kind of uh, prohibited Siddhant's character to be both a victim or a hero. His, in the sense that his tragedy became a shared reality. Like he's not the only one going through this. That was the point of the character, which I thought it was very, and what like Uday said now in the beginning, that there are some moments in the film when you realize the confidence of the filmmaker, and I felt that through this subplot as well, that Shazia was really like she knew what she was doing, which I really liked.
Absolutely. In 2025, if you're setting a film in a college where you are talking about caste atrocities and things, and then to include an homage to Rohit Vemula shows how confident you are, shows how intentional you are with the adaptation, and you're not just making the adaptation just for the sake of doing it. There's intention behind it, there's reason behind it, and there's a fearlessness behind it to pay homage to a real person who also over the last few years has become such an important part of the conversation that this film is also trying to have, specifically when people say कि ऐसा शहरों में नहीं होता है, to put it to have that character, to insert that character into the screenplay, to create that character brings it even closer to the point that ऐसा शहरों में होता है. It is not a their problem, it is not something that happens in a different city where we don't live. This happens between among the people that we live, and look, this is how it happens when you're not looking. I thought the father character in the original had a lot more impact than the father character here did as well. Even though Vipin Sharma is amazing, I love him. I can watch him day and night doing anything, and like Deepak Dobrikal, right? Every character Vipin Sharma does just becomes just incredible because it's this actor playing that part. But when the reveal of the father happens in Periyaram Perumal, that brought a mix of joy and dread that made me feel so much more connected to Periyaram when we learned about that his father is an actual dancer. And then again, it brings us back to the music also, the cultural rooting of the character, that this sort of performances is a part of his culture, and his father just does it and it's no big deal. When they adapt it for a North Indian audience, for a North Indian setting, they've turned it into Londa Nach, which is also a very cultural thing, which is also not something that they've dreamt of. It's a very real thing that happens, Londa Nach. It's actually called Londa Nach. And even in the closing credits, I noticed that there's a special choreographer credit for the person who's choreographed the Londa Nach, because it's an art form very rooted in Indian culture, which is just such a giant thing in Indian culture. What did you guys think of the father reveal here, Uday?
I mean, because it was there in the original, I was wondering whether they were going to go there, and I mean, they did. So yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was because I knew where it had gone in that the impact in this wasn't really that much. But I thought Zakir Hussain was really good as the dean out here. I thought
Yeah.
his scenes really they worked for me more than the whoever played the dean in the original. I think he really, like, when he asks him like, you're ashamed of your father, and he's kind of like, no. I that was just a fantastic scene. Zakir was such a good actor. Like, he's he can play so many shades in one scene itself. Like, he can go from being like really funny, and then he just say something that cuts to the heart of the film, and he's really good.
Yeah. And also the fact that they've so in Periyaram he wasn't a Muslim character, right? It was still from a he was still a Dalit character in the original one,
I
and he
Yes.
think,
says
yeah.
then my father makes shoes, and in this one
Correct.
he
Yeah.
doesn't. It's still it's a Muslim character, and then again she's bringing her lived reality to it, which she's done previously as well. Your thoughts on the father character also, Rahul? Father and principal both? The adaptation of the both the characters?
Yeah, I mean, the father character wasn't much of a reveal, obviously, because we've seen the original. So, but Vipin Sharma was very convincing, and as he usually is most of the time, and especially in that scene where both of them are together, uh, like the principal and the father, before he's sent out of the room, and he's like, you know, uh, and he's basically addressing the principal, and both of them, all three of them, for some reason, for me, felt like the protagonists of the film at that moment. Like it felt like all three marginalized in their own ways, in the same space, but also on each other's team, but not knowing how to deal with each other. So I thought, like, it's just great acting that brings it across. And Zakir Hussain, as we've talked about even before, I think is one of the better actors we have in this country, and he's just like he's a chameleon. He's so shapeless, and sometimes when I see him on screen, I start laughing randomly because I keep thinking of him in Family Man. But then when he starts speaking here, the gravity to
Fuzzy.
every word he says, Farzi, sorry, the gravity to everything he says here is just, yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. It's almost, even for Siddhant's character, he didn't expect him to say the things he does. And it's such a crucial scene, the dean of your college, who is seemingly not taking a side, who's seemingly beaten down by politics, beaten down by the government himself, is basically telling a youngster, saying, uh, uh, there's a difference between surviving and dying, and that's such a powerful thing to say to a Dalit student in your college, and at the same time also keeping your identity within the whole thing. So yeah, very smart, very. I'm glad that Shazia sort of included that character, because, as you said, it's a lived-in reality as well, and
Yeah.
it is very much a part of campus life that we probably don't notice enough. So yeah, his
Yeah.
his character was very important. But I think what I found the most interesting, and I think we should, I guess, talk about it, is Tripti's character and how they've changed it here.
Yeah. In the original, the principal says, at least he won't hang himself, let him die fighting. And in this one, the line that they've also used over and over in promotions also, कि अगर लड़ने और मरने में से किसी को चुनना है तो लड़ना, which is so, it really enters. Ishita, thoughts on the principal, father, and then Tripti Dimri's character? How they've
So
changed
father, I
Joe
mean,
to Vidit.
I kind of was guessing where it would go because of the original. So I'm like Vipin Sharma very good, but I'm very partial, I think, as an audience towards like Zakir Hussain. I mean, he's just like he can come on screen and I will watch anything. And
Exactly.
there is just this moment when he's telling Siddharth, Kya hua? And I felt that it is Farzi all over again. And I just started laughing, even though he didn't say anything.
Yep.
But yeah, also like what both of them said, and also you said, like he's such a shapeshifter as an actor. Like you don't know where he'll go, and also that
That's
he's
what I
also
was like.
like
Are they gonna turn the dean into a bad guy here? Like also because he's such a
yeah
great actor, he can take it anywhere.
that, and he's always like I could feel like at least his character was also like someone who was walking on the tightrope. Like, like when the student leader comes to him and asks him that, why did you discontinue our fellowship? And, he takes a pause because he realizes what they're going through, but he's also answerable to like, so I really liked, I'm sure that this is what he got it. Like, I don't think you can write these things. It's probably these are the nuances he got. And also, yeah, Tripti's character is something I have struggled with the most in the film. I mean, the first half, it worked for me a lot. Like when I was watching it, it was working. Like I think that's when the difference was very evident from the original film. So I was like, great, like she was speaking things like, my ex was like a toxic man and all, and
Vishali
I got
Mardangi, guys. Vishali Mardangi.
yeah. And I could sense that I could sense then that, this is a girl who is saying things because she's read these things. You can sense it. In the second half, I struggled a little with her character because I felt like I think I was a little trained as an audience and I was also projecting my uh, expectation on her, where I wanted her to behave like I would have behaved in a way, like, every time she's like, I'm going to talk to my father, I'm like, then go talk to your father. Why aren't you talking to your father? So I felt like it was, for me, I struggled with that her rebellion was not yielding results the way I
Yeah.
wanted to see it. But later, I mean, I saw it when I was writing and I thought about it. I felt like it probably was not. Like, she's supposed to be this person who has her blind spots, which makes her character this complex. She is
Yeah.
also savior in her own way. Like, she feels that, I love you and I am okay with it. Then what is the problem?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, that I have a Muslim friend, so it's okay.
Correct.
I'm secular in a way. So yeah.
The we tend to simplify another's struggle by projecting our own lived experiences onto them, and that's what I think with this character also Shazia is trying to say, that you can try to be an ally, but you, you will never be at the same level of understanding the struggle, pain, and discomfort of being that person. So her ignorance is, a part of the character, and I felt that they, all if these two were just allowed to develop a loving relationship, they might not even end up together. But just the fact that Tripti Dimri's character Vidhi feels like she needs to do this now because she has to use her voice now, and Siddhant's character on the other end also is getting pushed, and she's getting pushed, and they're sort of like smushed together without really having an option but to fight against this and fight as a unit. If they weren't smushed together, these are not two people who might not even end up with each other, I felt like. So the love story part of it, coming back to our earlier point, felt incidental. It is a love story, but this is not, they're not Romeo Juliet, they're not star-crossed lovers, they're not meant to be, it's not meant to be this epic love story. It's more about the circumstances that force them together, was my reading of it. In the original film, the Joe's character, again, we are feeling frustration watching Tripti saying, we do more, say more, fight more, because we are projecting. Original wali mein, I was just like, oh my god, what is wrong with this girl? Is she like 5 years old? Who talks like this? Who behaves like this? Who? It was, that part of it was very unbelievable to me, that somebody who loves their father so much and is so close to their father doesn't know this side of their father, that if she brings this boy home and if she starts talking about this boy, her father is going to have a problem with it, and then her brothers are going to have a problem with it. Because if you are like Papa ki Pari, which is fine to be Papa ki Pari, but then you know your Papa that well also, na? And then you spent your whole life also tiptoeing around him a little bit without ruffling any feathers. So that was, I think that was a really great upgrade to the writing material, um, or like addition to the writing material, because I wouldn't say that Periyaram Perumal needed upgrade. Um, I thought it was a great embellishment to the character. Uday, your thought on Tripti's character?
I am a bit mixed. I really like Tripti Dimri as an actor. I think she's very good. I think every time she comes in another role, she adds something. I think she's like a just progressively been better and better with with everything that she does. In this, I think all the decisions in this film feel like, even all the adaptations, I think, feel very effortless, very organic. Like, they don't feel like they've come with a lot of this. Her character is the only one where I feel like you can see a bit of effort in the writing, that, oh, the one thing that we want to change is we want to give the female lead more agency. We want to make her a more prominent character. We want to give her her own story. And I think whatever additions are done to her character in this, I can see a bit of like that thought that, oh, okay, she needs to have a scene, she needs to have her own trauma out here, like the scene where she's talking about her mother dying earlier on. So I was like, it's fine, but it felt unnecessary, in the sense that we need to give her also something to so that he can comfort her, and it's not just all the other the all one way traffic, in terms of one person having all the trauma and all that. So it felt a bit effortful. I was I I do like that she became like she wasn't as passive as the as Pariyam Perumal, but you could see a bit of the effort.
Yeah. I think Tripti Dimri also just comes alive at the hand of a female filmmaker. You know, the work that she's done with Anvita Dutt in the past has what was that film she was in? Bulbul. I think that's her best work till date.
Kala.
Fantastic. Kala, but I think I would rank Bulbul higher when it comes to a Tripti Dimri performance. I would rank Bulbul higher than Kala, in my opinion. But I really enjoyed that scream in the end, man. That guttural, just like, I don't know what to do in this moment scream. And I like that they ended it there. But it was also weird that they added a postscript where the cousin comes around and then they're writing an exam together and the cousin gives him a pen. Like, he wouldn't do that. That sort of murderous, casteist, macho, masculine man, I do not think that just one Tripti Dimri or one scream from a woman would change somebody so intrinsically to add that postscript. And that was an issue with the original one also I had, because they're sitting and having a conversation and having chai and then walking away into the sunset. Maybe, I don't know, but if the film wants to end on a hopeful note, that's the choice that they're making. Yeah, I think overall I think it is a film that everybody must watch, keeping in mind where the original material comes from and why Mari Selvaraj tells the stories that he does. Karnan, the film that he made after Periyaram Perumal, is also just a fantastic story about caste and religion, rooted in culture, rooted in music, rooted in religion. Just fantastic. And I don't see any reason why people should not be watching Dhadak 2 in movie theaters. Is there anything we've missed, you guys, so far that we want to talk about? And the other scenes also they've added, yeah? They added this wonderful scene where in the college where so in the original, they lock him in the ladies' bathroom, and here they throw gutter ka pani on his face, which follows a scene where they try to throw him into a gutter, and then they say, tu gutter ka hai, tu gutter mein hi rahe, gutter saaf karta hai, gutter mein rahe. And then when he doesn't fall into the gutter, because let's talk about the assassin. Let's talk about that character. They throw the gutter water on his face, trying to say that you cannot escape this. This will follow you around. Try as much as you might. The assassin, I thought in the original was better. I know we're doing a comparison here, you guys, but this is really how we're approaching the film, unfortunately.
No. La, la.
What?
No.
What? Y'all are disagree with me?
Rahul and Uday, one of the many things they like is also sort of Sachdeva.
He's incredible. Again, another one of those actors who just shows up and you're like, you're in for a good time. He's got you. He's going to do a great character. But Uday
Maestro Sachdeva.
Maestro Sachdeva.
Maestro Sachdeva.
He teaches. He's an teacher to many actors in the industry. Correct. Raghav Juyal speaks very, very highly of him. Rahul, tell me why. Tell me why you think that the assassin character was an upgrade.
No, I don't think it was an upgrade, and I don't want to get into comparisons. I think the good part about the original film is that he did not at all look like an assassin, just the way Bob Biswas didn't look like a hitman in Kahani. It's the most everyman character ever who just turned out to be a bigoted guy who just called it social service, which I thought was a great touch. The concept of the assassin is great, but I cannot think of a better Hindi film actor than Saurabh Satyawar to play that character. Even though he has played murky characters in the last few years quite a bit, and probably better than most people, especially in shows and all, I think he's in this. It's just that feeling of dread, because the film chooses to start with him in a way also. You're basically starting from the mainstream gaze of society, straight. Like, in a way, this is normal, and what we see, the lead couple and the rest and the college and all, is actually the exception to the norm. So basically, he's trying to almost reclaim that gaze back from them. which I thought was a good touch to start with him, and then throughout the film, sprinkle little parts of him through the film. More coincidences in this film than the original. Obviously, he saves him once and he bumps into him another time, which I thought was nice because it showed us that he was actually the main track here and they were the side tracks. And
Mm.
that's how it is in society as well right now. And yeah, and I love that shot I mentioned in the review also when the Dhadak title track starts, which I'm a big fan of the song. A typical romantic montage, and both of them on a scooter going. The camera is following the scooter, and suddenly instead of following them, it stops at Saurabh Sadeva. The whole bubble bursts. The song stops. The music stops. It just stops with him, and it follows him to his next mission. And it's the same scene we've seen in the original, which basically shows that they are not going to be getting the mainstream romance we think that they are. The trailer sold us, or the sort of publicity sold us, and this is actually his film in a way. And I thought Saurabh Sadeva understood that, and I thought he played that character with that kind of gravity, with those ticks. He didn't overdo it. That lovely little moment where he rescues him, Siddhant, and they have chai together, and then when he realizes he stays in Bhimnagar, he just like puts the chai, and any actor could have overdone that scene, but he
Yeah.
just does it so subtly, and the scene cuts. I think he's just it was a master. It could have gone wrong, is what I'm saying, and I don't think any other actor could have done justice to it the way.
Uday.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that scene really, just the one that Rahul just mentioned, the one where where he's having tea, and then that look that he gives him, like it's what he's thinking by then, because what he does,
Yeah.
so we can read into it, but it can't be that showy that anyone else can notice it. So you can just see the disgust that he's feeling, and like the almost like the panic that he's feeling, that he's shared this human moment with someone that he's despises, and it's just perfectly calibrated. And I like the scene also where he's getting like the final commission to do the job on Nilesh. He's when he's like saying that if I kill him then it's fine, and if I can't then what's the point living. And I thought that's just such an interesting assassin with a terrible person, but it's just like if I can't get it done then I'll just
with
give up.
But
with
that's from
integrity.
the original,
And
na?
it works. Yeah, it's
वो तो
Yeah,
original
perfectly.
me, and why I'm saying the original felt, or so Saurabh Sachdeva was amazing and no denying the fact, but I'm only comparing her. I'm not saying that this is a badly written character or a badly performed performance. He's fantastic and the character is fantastic and it's very menacing. But in the original, when you find out that this guy is an assassin, and like not no, but you find out when in the middle he's doing things randomly. You'll cut to one scene here, one scene there, one scene there, and in the end when you go and he's shaving this girl's head because there's something wrong with her kundali or something is going wrong with her. He shaves her head and then the parents take her away, and then they bring this supari to him saying that you have to go and kill this guy, and then he says that if you keep this money and if something goes wrong you bail me out from the police station. And then the scene of him going to the tracks and killing himself, then that ties into the first scene of the film, and it's just so much more beautifully bookends the movie of the first scene of the dog dying on the train tracks and then the last scene of this man killing himself on the train tracks. I thought there was something so much more like about it. Again, it's more cultural also, no? It felt like.
I think like another interesting addition in the Hindi film was the fact that they slipped in that one scene where they showed us the assassin has a family. He's talking to his daughter, and it would appear like a short term in most other films, but the reason it made sense here, where the daughter basically is absolutely blissfully ignorant of what her father does, and it's a very metaphorical scene, and everything about identity. It basically tells us what we need to know about him. But what that scene does between father and daughter is lend context to the fact that Tripti Dimri is also another daughter who has absolutely no idea about um what her father and uncle think in the same house. That relationship between father and daughter and how she might be in denial. That girl is probably going to grow up to be probably in denial about what her father used to be or used to do. And it's the same bubble that a character like Tripti, who thinks she has agency, but it's performative upper caste agency, who thinks she has all of that. And that's the reason I was sold about the fact that she has no idea that even though she is Papa Ki Pari, she has no idea what they actually do in that house and how she actually has next to no agency with in that house. So it sort of tied into that father-daughter relationship to the main one, which also gave some context to the locality they live in, the town they live in. So yeah, that for me was sort of a circular moment.
Ishita, do you have
Also,
thoughts on
I
this
feel,
character?
yeah, I really like. I mean, I am like sort of such Deva is great. I also like that his character has absolutely uh no mercy at all, because in the original, I remember when they show him the picture of the hero, the OG serial honor killer is like, he's a nice guy. Why don't you talk to him? And here he literally has nothing. He's like, I'll do it. This is my duty. It's like almost like a rabid nationalist saying, I'll do it. This is my duty. And if not, I'll kill myself. Like, that's how much he believed in the cause. So, I mean, he has like absolutely no pockets of sympathy in his being. Like, I think that's what made it so fascinating also.
Yeah. You guys can hear me properly because people are saying that my audio is very low. Is it low or can you hear me?
I
I
can
think
hear
it's
you.
up now. I mean, it's
It's
better now.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Also,
keeps
the one
happening,
thing,
yaar.
sorry.
Say. I was just lamenting about technical
Today,
issues. You
yeah.
say.
Today has been a little, yeah. No,
Hmm.
I wanted to go back to what Uday said, that about Tripti Dimdi's character and the almost like, her tragedy, not tragedy, but whatever, like force fitting of a tragedy in the narrative where she's talking about her mother. And I felt like I mean, the way I saw it is that the first half, I thought that Dhadak 2 was play acting as a love story, and where Siddhant Chaturvedi's character also assumes that he can sit on the table and he can dream big and he can fall in love, because of course his mother didn't make him feel lesser. We see his mother also is more essential. She's like woman who people listen to. So obviously he's grown up feeling not small in a way. And then I thought that, it's funny because he tells her about his dog and she tells him about his mother, which has happened many, many years back. But I feel like they almost were trying to share this like as a bridge of equality, because Tripti is like, okay, this happened to you. Let me tell you what happened with me. Because they assume that, this is a love story where they can be equals in a way. And grief kind of in a way became their way. But it was like, the thing is that the dogs were like the context of death was completely different. I mean, that's what I did in Dhadak. Like, yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair point. That's a pretty good
Hmm.
reading of it also. And just that we are giving due credit also, along with Shazia, one of the credited writers is Rahul Badvelkar, who has co-written the screenplay with her. So it is the two of them who have adapted this film. And credit to both of them. Now, also credit to, I think, Dharma Productions for supporting this film the way it has had issues with the censor board over the last few years, over the last few months. I do not know what the cuts have been. Has there been any information on what they've had to remove from the movie?
There is an Indian Express report where all the 19 cuts are detailed. Yeah. Like when
What is
they
it?
slap the
Do you
mother
remember?
and it. Yeah, I mean, I remember some. One is not to mention the name, the place, because they don't mention
I
it
thought
at
as well.
all.
I thought that has been removed from the thing very obviously.
Some caste slurs were, I think they were like over spoken, overdubbed. That scene when the mother is slapped by the cop and the screen goes back to blank, that apparently is what they included, because you don't show violence against women anymore. So that's what. And apparently also, I wanted to check with y'all. Remember the pre-interval moment when the wedding incident happens? Basically, I don't know if I can share it, if it will be a spoiler.
We've spoiled
So
the film now at
at
this
We
point.
least.
Everybody
spoiled
knows.
everything,
Okay.
unfortunately.
So he's basically like Siddhant Chaturvedi's character is like whatever. He's like someone urinates on him, like an upper caste. Tripti's character's cousin brother. Express report says that it was censored. Now, I saw the scene in the film. I think probably they probably shortened it a bit, is what my reading is. Did you all feel that at all?
Not really.
Not really. I think the horror of that moment and the surprise of that moment was very much intact. I cannot
Okay.
think of anything that they maybe say they added something else which was not in the original, and hence I can't think of anything else that you would add. But the shock of the moment very much is feels very like real.
Hmm.
Right? I don't feel like they removed anything. Do you guys think like they removed anything? I don't know.
Not from that scene, at least. Like
Impossible.
we know. I mean, it was very obvious they didn't name the place, the state, the locality, whatever it is. But yeah, other than a few slurs here and there, and in fact, that black screen cut to black sort of somehow worked within the
It
context of the
works,
film.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
very-
actually I thought it. I didn't
Yeah,
think
I
it
know.
was a cut. Though now in retrospect it makes more sense because it's a fairly theatrical cut to black. But at that time I didn't think that. Yeah.
Still doesn't work as much as the black dress in Oppenheimer.
I was just about to say.
Wow.
All right, so JK is saying
By
that
the
they
way,
definitely
repeated
shortened the bit that he got
Nosferatu.
urinated on.
Not many people saw it. Nosferatu in the thing. Yeah, I only
They
noticed it
repeated it.
when I saw the film again on OTT. But yeah, they did the same thing. Another
We are
black.
seeing better VFX by the censors than in films themselves.
That only.
Speaking of cuts by the Central Board of Certification, we've all seen Punjab 95 at this point. Uday, you've also seen it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe another conversation we should have about Punjab 95, not right now, but another conversation about the film and our thoughts on the film and why, if we feel the film, whatever our thoughts on the film are, right? I think we should talk about that alag se, because
Yeah, that's a good
हम
idea.
नहीं करेंगे तो
Another
कौन
Saurabh Sachdeva masterclass there.
Oh shit, he's so good. So good.
He is
His body
everywhere.
language is just shifts.
This is
It's
Saurabh
crazy.
Sachdeva's world, and we are just living in it.
Rahul, can I share one thing?
Yeah.
Rahul once had gone out and then he came back. I've never seen him this animated. He was like, I saw Saurabh Sachdeva. He was next to my auto.
So
And he's like, I think
cute.
he's going to teach.
In another
Because he
auto.
was like-
I made up a backstory saying he's on his way
Yeah.
to teach. He's going to change lives. He's going to, even in the rickshaw, I was trying to notice if he's rehearsing or something like that.
We
But
should
just-
we should get Saurabh Sachdeva here and like talk to him among all of us. Hai na? Rahul
I
will be
mean-
super tongue tied.
I'd be blushing and shit, it'd be very embarrassing. But yeah, no, I just to say that like with actors like him and with Zakir Hussain, you can just see how much they
Vipin
care
Sharma.
about acting, and
Deepak
Zakir Hussain,
Dogriyal.
Vipin Sharma, all
Yeah.
of them. You can just see how much they care about acting. They live it, they breathe it, and you can see the toll of experience of struggling over the last 20 years, 30 years, maybe, I don't know. And it shows, like every time you see them on screen, they are here, and the younger actors are often here, and that's how that's the vast difference between most of them. Not to compare anything, but it's so comforting to know that the supporting cast is almost always made up of actors like Saurabh Sachdeva and who are sure finally getting their due, quote unquote, but yeah, they just care about the craft so much. They are convincing in absolutely everything. Even in a film like I hated, like Animal, he was very watchable, and like
Yeah.
I'm like, he's very good.
Last year I felt that way about Chaya Kadam because she kept showing up in things over and over, and every time I would realize that Chaya Kadam is in this film, it would be like amazing, show me more. And she looks different in every character. She talks different. You put her character from Lapata Ladies next to All We Imagine, next to Kanchan Kobli in freaking Madgaon Express. Like, what a star. All right, so this has been a long conversation about Dhadak 2. The point is that all of y'all should go and watch the film and have your own conversations about the film with your friends, with your family. And then if you want, I think Periyaram Perumal is streaming on Amazon Prime Video, I think, right? It's on Prime? Yeah. So
On
you guys
Prime,
can watch
yeah.
that at home as well. Do we want to talk about Naked Gun, or at this point are we like fatigued of talking about films?
I haven't.
तुम दोनों ने नहीं देखी ना राहुल और रिशिता ने?
Nice.
मैंने और उदय ने देखी है. उदय ने तो रिव्यू नहीं किया लेकिन, right? You just saw it for fun
नहीं,
time.
I saw it for
Sure.
fun.
Okay, so we are
And
not going to discuss it too much, but it is a lot of fun. Like I said this in my review also, anytime I go into a film that is a comedy about police officers, to contextualize it in 2025, I always enter with a little bit of trepidation, because are you going to, is it going to have the often intended side effect of absolution? But even for this, like it even for a cynic like me, it felt like mostly just poking fun at Liam Neeson's career as an action hero, and what it like either you, what is that saying, either you, or you will live long enough to see yourself become the villain, like you live long
Yeah,
enough to see
die a
yourself become a
hero.
And you
parody of
die a
yourself.
hero or long enough to be a villain. Yeah.
Correct. So either you die a hero or live long enough to do a parody of your own entire career. And he is very funny in it. Pamela Anderson is very funny in it. And before you joined, Uday and I was just having an off-the-record conversation that if there's any Indian filmmaker of late who comes to mind who could do something like this, is Kunal Kemu. It's the similar sort, and Rajan DK.
Yeah, yeah.
That comedy sensibility. One quickly, parting thoughts on Naked Gun, Uday. Should people go watch it or not? Maze ke liye.
It's great fun. Matlab, it's 85 minutes. And like I think there's like a joke every 10 to 15 seconds. Like the hit
Yeah.
rate of jokes is just insane. Like it doesn't matter if half the jokes are stupid, because there are just so many of them that the next one is already there. It's just like relentless.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Which is, if freaking Sana Sardar 2 had done that, it had the potential of becoming that sort of parody. They just gave up on themselves after a few initial tries. And
I
on
like
that
how
note,
everything comes back to Son of Sardaar too.
SOS.
to bookend this,
SOS indeed.
bookending this conversation. I know, right? Like, to find progressive themes in a film titled SOS. Incredible. Well, thank you so much once again, guys, for joining me. Everybody, please read the reviews of all these film critics who you're seeing on your screen right now. They are all already linked under the description of this video. Follow them on Twitter so you can stay connected. Even when we're not doing these live videos, which we do try to do every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know, whenever there's something to talk about. This week we felt like there was something to talk about, so we came together to do it. But follow Uday and Rahul and Ishita. Uday writes for Live Mint. Rahul writes for The Hollywood Reporter primarily, and Ishita writes for OTT Play primarily, but all of these writers are also available for other publications. No, Uday is not available for other publications, but Rahul and Ishita are also writing at other publications, so please follow them wherever they are writing. Me, I am here killing time on YouTube for the most part. If you like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe we should find a time to talk about Punjab 95 soon, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, done.
We should.
है ना?
Yeah.
करते हैं. Thank you, friends. One more time.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, let's